Alright, what is up guys? So recently, as you can see on the screen, SDF did say some new things in general, and I decided I would go over them, as per usual. And just as a disclaimer, this video probably will not have any gameplay on the screen whatsoever. Mostly it's just going to be me talking, so feel free to play in the background, swap tabs, just audio, whatever it is. But anyways, let's get right into the main part of the video. So to start off with, I just wanted to say, I was planning on making a video going over gear disparity currently in the game, and how we've experienced it previously. However, they released all this new information, and I kind of figured I would kind of combine them because some of the things I was going to mention are relevant to the things they've said, and some of the things they've said are relevant to the things I was going to mention. So, like I said, let's jump right into it. Okay, to start off with, so at the bottom, they say, I'm going to talk about this last because I think it's the most important. They said this week's hotfix will be testing gear-based matchmaking. I think this is the biggest thing and probably the most important thing, so I will be going over this the most. However, I'm going to talk about the other things really quick just because I think these are way less important. Not that they're, well, not necessarily less important, but I think there's less for me to talk about. So they say multiclassing is very soon. We've started testing internally, and it's more fun than I thought. We hope to launch it at first in a test app next week, but we're not entirely sure. Druid's working in progress version will be released within this month. Okay, so a couple things to unpack here. Multiclassing and Druid, we're finally hearing information about them, and I'm gonna be honest. Like, I know always like, oh, you're so negative all the time. This kind of annoys me because so they say Druid's working in progress. I'm assuming this is just like SDF's like lack of translation to English, or I assume this means Druid's like or like uncompleted form, the work in progress form version will be released this month. All right, so two things. One, by the end of this month, we're gonna be nearly 2 months into the wipe, give or take, right? It's somewhere around there, at least about a month and a half into the wipe. This whole wipe, like, okay, I mean, this whole wipe is supposed to be based around two things. It's not necessarily based around Druid, but we're supposed to be getting Druid at the beginning of this wipe, which is supposed to be the big thing. We've been, supposed to have Druid for about, what, 4 or 5 months now, maybe? And now we're hearing that it'll be released within this month. And historically speaking, I'm not saying when we'll get it this month, but anytime they've said within this month, it has almost always been at the very end of the month. Right? Almost every single time it's been the very end of the month. But, I'm not going to nitpick that. That is what it is. Hopefully we get it soon. If they release Druid, however, I am going to say this. If they release Druid and it's in a very incomplete state, think Playtest 5 Bard, Early Access Release Warlock, where there's nothing to the class. I mean, I personally would be disappointed, and I think a lot of other people would be disappointed as well, because you've been working on this class for, what, 7, 8 months now, give or take, and all you can release is an incomplete version of it. Like, you're telling me it's taken you half a year plus to put out an incomplete form of a class. But like I said, is what it is. Gonna move on, talk about multiclassing. Multiclassing is very soon. We've started testing internally. It's more fun than I thought. We hope to launch it first in a test app next week, but we're not entirely sure. Okay, so if you guys think back to the start of this wipe, and all the dev Q&As they did, and all the devcast, and all those things they did on the streamers, like on their podcasts, they said the whole the whole theme, not the theme, I guess, but not a way to get it, but the whole point of this wipe was to test multiclassing and see how it is. Multiclassing is supposed to be the big thing of this wipe. And here they are saying, we're maybe going to get it on like the test server next week, but they're not even sure. So at least I would say it's 2 weeks out from now, which puts us around the end of the month, same as Druid, not entirely, but towards the end of the month. So based on what we have for information, we literally might not get multiclassing for a month, and at that point, we might not even get it this wipe. Because they said this wipe is only going to be, I think, 2 months to 2.5 months long, and, we're already, what, about a month into the wipe? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure of the exact day it wiped on. Anybody can correct me. I mean, are we about it feels like it's been honestly, I could be wrong. It feels like it's been a month. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I could try to go back and double check to see. Actually, I can do that right now. Let me go to the Discord and actually see when this wipe started. I can just go scroll back in the announcements to check the patches. Because I'm actually pretty curious when this wipe started, because I literally have no idea. Wipe 3, 315. Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, it's actually in almost a month. We're we're 6 days, we're less than a week away from it being a month wipe. So in 2 weeks, it'll have been a month and, about a week, give or take, like a day. But anyways, so it is very likely that for another month or so, we won't have access to multiclassing, and hopefully by then we do have access to Druid. Like I said, I expect Druid within the next 2 to 3 weeks. But it's just kind of... So, listen, I'm not saying they're wrong for taking their time with it, right? My only problem is their whole thing was they said this wipe would be about multiclassing. It's about testing multiclassing, playing it, seeing how fun it is. However, I can't help but feel that they knew how unready it was and how long it would take. Because if it's taking like a month and a half longer than they anticipated, I mean, obviously there's like some other issues going on there. But this is just the basic concept of don't promise your players something that you can't provide them. This goes for multiclassing and this goes for Druid both. We were supposed to have multiclassing weeks ago. We were supposed to have Druid months ago. Here we are, and they're finally telling us, oh, we're going to be testing multiclassing next week, maybe. We're going to be giving you Druid's work in progress form this month, like whenever that is. Still, pushing these things we're supposed to have in the past by however long, they're still further, like several weeks out in the future. And like I said, I get it, issues happen, but at some point, you can't keep making excuses for it. You just can't promise your players something that you're not going to provide them, right? Because historically speaking, Iron Mace has had a really bad problem with communication, with a lot of things. Whenever, we're supposed to get something and then it doesn't come out, they take forever to tell us. Like this right here, this is the first news we've heard on Multiclassing or Druid in, 3 patches? Like maybe even more, I'm not even sure, but I know it's been at least 3. We haven't heard a single thing about it. And now they're like, okay, hey guys, 2-3 weeks out, maybe. Possibly, who knows. But, alright, moving on from that, I don't want to talk about that too much, because it's going to kind of depress me. Solo will soon have access to all dungeons. It is very inconvenient to have to form a party to proceed with the quest alone. To achieve this, the monster density of each dungeon will be slightly adjusted when playing solo. I hate this. I'm sure this is no shocker to anyone. Oh wow, Toddfather hates something. Ooh, yes. So, the problem with this is 1, it splits up the solo matchmaking. You now have solo goblin caves, solo ice caves, solo crypts. I'm not sure how they're gonna do it. I'm not sure if it's gonna be solo norms, solo HR, only norms, only HR, both of them. I don't know. However, no matter how they do it, this is not bad, or my bad, this is not good for the game, specifically the solo player base, because now your solo player base will be split between 3 maps, potentially 6 different queues because of the, because of the potential norm versus HR. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I just don't like this. I don't think it's a good idea. It's like, listen, I get, some quests are crypts, some quests are ice caves. However, most of the quests you can do solo on those maps. I know this because I've done it. I've went solo trios and done all my trio quests for the most part. I went solo duos and done all my duo quests. A lot of the quests you can do on your own on the map. Because most of them are, very easily doable solo, and most of them don't even require you to live. It's just, oh, go here and, kill 10 skeletons, kill 15 death skulls, go to this location. None of them even require you to live, so you can just do it, and then who cares if you die? Mine gold and ruby silver, I've been going hell solo in crypts, mining gold and ruby silver pretty much every single run consistently. And I'm not expecting everyone to be able to do what I can, because obviously I'm a better player than most people. However, it's not that hard. Like, maybe 1 run out of 10 you can do it. Like a big deal. Not a very hard thing to do. Also, not to mention, the grand thing, just make a fucking party, man. You're playing a multiplayer game. You want to do the trios content? You want to do the trios quests? Get a person. You don't even need 3. Just get 1 person and go. 2 people can do any boss in this game. They can go to hell. They can do anything. Solos can do anything too. It's a lot harder to do solo bosses if it's like, Warlord or Lich. But solos can do anything too. But duos can definitely do it. But I don't know why they keep doing this. They keep enabling these crybaby solo players that refuse. Oh, I don't want to make a party. I only want to play solo. Okay, well, here, we're going to give you the option to never have to. Like, why? That's stupid. This is the problem. This right here is like where 90% of this game's problems stem from, of they don't want to ever put their foot down. This is literally like a child throwing a tantrum, right? All these players complaining, oh, these quests are in crypts, I can't do them, I'm a solo only player. Like, okay, then that is your choice. Like, the content is like, this is something I don't know if a lot of people realize. If a quest is in a trio's map, that content is not locked from you. Just because you are a solos only player, that content is not locked out for you. The only reason it's locked out is if you refuse to do it, whether solo, duo, or trio. If you won't get a duo or you won't get a trio, don't say you can't. That's bullshit. Do not say, oh, I can't find people to play with. Oh, I can't find people to play with. You can literally go to the Dark and Darker Discord and look for people. It doesn't matter how shit they are. Go normals. If you guys die, kick them out. Find another, go next. Do it with Gathering Hall. You have nothing to lose in norms. Who cares? They're going to kill you and take your white gear? Like, ooh, terrifying. But these crybaby players have cried and cried and cried and cried. And this has caused so many issues in this game. And now we're causing another one where they're going to give solos access to all the dungeons so they can go and do their solo quests. They can quest solo instead of having to find a person to play with, or doing solo versus duos or trios or whatever. And it pisses me off so much because these people are refusing to play the game in a way that makes it easier for them. So what Iron Mace is doing is, instead of being like, okay, well, that's your choice, we're not going to make it easier for you, they're literally enabling them. And all this right here is going to do is show them that, oh, whenever there's something that we don't like, just cry about it later and they'll fix it for us. That's what this is doing. That is what this has done many, many times. That is literally the cause of so many issues in this game. All of the matchmaking queues, all of, the stupid things they've done, adding multiple queues, adding a queue rotation, all of those stupid things is the result of players crying and them not wanting to do what's best for their game and listening to their crybaby players. Because I don't know if you guys know this, hot take here, just because a player wants something doesn't mean they should get it. Because what a player wants doesn't mean it's good for the game. People are like, oh, just open up all the queues so we can queue anything we want at any time. Guess what? They did that. You know what happened? Every single queue was dead. HR Trios on NA East, which is arguably the most popular server and most populated server, was completely dead. Every single queue, barring like maybe one or two if you were lucky, were completely dead across all regions. And you know what? That's something players said they wanted for a long time. So giving your players a choice isn't necessarily a good thing, especially when your player base isn't high. Further splitting your player base is awful. So now, solos is going to be split at least 3 ways, potentially up to 6. Fucking horrible idea. Dog shit idea. Needs to be changed before, needs to not be changed, and if when they do change it, needs to be reverted, which I'm sure they're gonna do, because Iron Mace loves to do something and then immediately revert it right after, because they realize, oh wait, this is actually horrible. Revert. Haha, we fixed it, guys, don't worry. Let's see the next thing we're gonna wait and revert. But anyways, moving on from that absolutely stupid shit, we're gonna talk about the most important thing that I care about, gear-based matchmaking. Okay, so this is something that's been thrown around a lot, and I'm gonna be honest with you, for a long time, I didn't like the concept of this, and even now, I'm excited for it, but I am on the fence for one big reason, and it's that, how is gear-based matchmaking going to be implemented? So there's a very easy way to do it, a very simple way to do it, and I'm worried that this is what they're gonna do, is just go based on rarity. Have like purple plus, and then, have like the queues to be separated at, it's purple rarity plus, or, below purple rarity, right? So everybody with purple rarity plus gear on gets matched together, everybody with everything below purple on gets matched together. So this causes 2 issues. One, that just because a piece of gear is purple doesn't mean it's good, right? Like, if you have a purple with, let's see, do I have any in here randomly? Let's see, like, I don't even think I have any in here, I'm an idiot. But, anyways, just having, like, a piece of purple gear on that has 3 dead stats is much worse than having a green with 1 good stat, for the most part, right? Like, with some exception. However, if that's how they're going to match people, like, let's say I throw a random piece of purple gear on my kit, and now I'm in the lobby with all these people with full purples and legendaries, because I have one piece of purple gear on. Like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do? And then, you know, you have the people that specifically, if they match like this, their people are going to avoid it. They're going to only wear perfect blue gear and only queue in those below purple lobbies, and they're just going to noob stomp, right? Think back to before norms had a gear cap, norms white gear cap, and gear cap that blue. People were running norms and bissed out blue gear with perfect rolls across the board, stomping norms. So if they do it based on rarity, it's going to be really, really difficult to actually, you know, evenly balance it. And then there's a better way to do it, and that is do it based on the actual rolls gear has. However, then you have the issue of, you know, just because a roll is good for one character doesn't mean it's good for another character. Like, you know, for example, like let's say I'm trying to think, like let's say I'm wearing a purple quickness ring. Let's say I'm wearing this ring, right? Like this ring's really good for me. I'm sorry, you guys can't really hear. Okay, let's say I'm wearing a purple quick ring. Like this ring's really good for me. However, if you put this on a, you know, a wizard, this isn't that good. It's just an ad ring with max health with 2 dead stats. However, this on like a warlock or a fighter is really, really good. So you have to then, you know, assign points to individual roles for individual characters, how well that role works on that character, and that is incredibly complicated, and I almost guarantee you that's not something they're going to do, just because that is something that would take a very long time to do. That would require intuitive thinking for, you know, specific characters for specific roles and different values assigned, and there's just all these other things that you'd have to take into account to actually make the matchmaking balanced. And like I said, I'm not even like faulting them for this. I just don't think that's something they have time for, because that's something that's incredibly complicated and really, really hard to do. I think, you know, if they put time into this later down the line, yeah, that could be great. It could work really well. However, just as a baseline for gear-based matchmaking, that's never going to happen. Like that's not what they're going to do. It's just not. So more likely than not, what we're going to get is we're going to get this thing where they're testing rarity-based matchmaking, and it's like I said, it's going to cause 2 really big issues. We're going to have a gear disparity between people with the higher rarity gear, and then we're going to have people that are running within, like, below that gear cap, and they're just going to stomp everybody else. Or, you know, there's always the possibility that they open multiple different gear queues, but then... So, the biggest issue from this is that gear-based matchmaking adds in another form of, you know, another form of a queue, right? Because like, let's say it's like purple plus or purple plus or below purple. That's 2 more queues that are added in. You queue up, you have like, you know, you queue up trios, and you're queuing up purple plus only. So it's only people with purple plus gear that match it into you, even in trios. And then let's say, you know, you have ranking added into it as well. So you have people that are only, you know, Pathfinder plus purple plus gear matching into you in trios. We are further making the leaderboards, you know, like we're further like dividing the player base, and we're spreading it out so thin that there's a good chance this ends up just making it so the game is, it's so hard to find lobbies, because then you have to meet such specific requirements to get players that it could just overall screw it. Like I said, I'm hopeful for gear-based matchmaking, because personally I think it could be very well implemented. I would really like it. However, I don't think implementing it as a base, like implementing a base version of it is going to be very helpful. I think it's only going to be harmful for the game, because this game already has the issues with multiple queues. I mean, there's several other issues, but I think that's probably one of the largest ones. The player base isn't super huge. I mean, what do we have? I mean, like, yeah, like we're like 10,000 players. So, you know, like, you can't really split your player base up. You can't keep doing this. It's really hard to do. You really need to consolidate players. You need to be getting rid of queues, not adding them. I don't understand how they don't realize this, but yeah. And so something else I want to talk about to end up the video is gear disparity. What does that mean? Well, basically, gear disparity, if you're unaware, it's just how much better is higher tier gear than lower tier gear, right? And I think there's another factor that plays in, and it's how expensive is higher tier gear, or, you know, good gear than mid or bad gear. Because I think there's 3 levels. Like, we're just gonna, for, you know, for the sake of the argument, we're gonna go for 3 levels of gear. We're gonna talk about bad gear, mid gear, and good gear. Good gear, you know, BIS, whatever you wanna call it, just good stuff. Maybe not completely perfect, but, you know, like a good roll, like 2 good rolls, 3 good rolls, whatever. So bad gear is pretty much just whatever you have on, right? Nothing's really specialized. You don't have a build. You kind of just put some random shit on, and it is what it is. Mid gear, in my mind, in this meta, is when you're getting to I have plus all and nothing else. So like, I think I have like a plus all chest or a plus all legs, maybe like plus all maybe like a plus all necklace, plus one, plus two. Rings probably aren't plus all, and then like no good stats on the plus all pieces, maybe decent stats on your other pieces, but that's all. Right? Like maybe like one or two good stats. And then good gear is when you have plus all plus a good stats. You're probably plus all out on everything now. Your other pieces are all good. You have like high rarity gear. And the disparity between the bad to mid and mid to good right now is so large. And okay, also let me just say, I know what my definition is of bad mid and good gear is much different than somebody else's. Somebody's others, like, good gear is just having plus all, right? But, we're going to I'm talking about, like, this is, like, the average for the higher end of play, which I probably should specify before I continue. This is, like, what I'm told is the average for the higher end of play. Right now, in this wipe, we are seeing a bigger gear difference than I think we ever have before. And actually, I want to pull up a screenshot to show you guys something that I think is very it's something that I think is worth seeing, right? Let's just open this up in browser. So right here, I'm gonna have to do this and then do this. So let's look at this screenshot together. This barbarian has, look at his stats, 30, 44, 34, 36. Aren't even super high stats. But then let's go down. He has 200 health, 98.2% move speed, 29.4% action speed. Where's next? 60.2% PDR, 62.3% magic res. And the only buff he has is Holy Aura. This is without Bard buffs. This is a kit without Bard buffs. He is I'm just gonna say it again. 200 health, 295 move speed, 29% action speed, 60-62. Fist, by the way, if you can't tell, look right here. Fist out. This is not with the shield. This is not with the weapon. So when he pulls his shield out, if that's like an MR PDR shield, like legendary, he's going to be almost 70. He's going to be about like 70-70 with potentially more HP if he has HP on his shield. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this kit right here is better than anything anybody had at any point during last wipe, and it isn't even close. This is better than perfect full bist out gold gear by a mile. Like, barbs have more HP than this, and they might have had more move speed, but they had nowhere near as much action speed, and they were nowhere near as tanky with PDR and MDR. Not even close. No character in the game comes close to this level of kit that they had at like during last wipe. No kit last wipe comes even close. And then look at his gear. He's not even wearing, like, he's wearing leather gloves, lace turn shoes, an agi ring, a dex cape. Like, you could, like, let's say you just wanted to put more HP on this for some reason. There are several places you could upgrade vastly on this. You could get more armor very easily. It's just, it is ridiculous of the level of gear that you have people running right now. It is truly beyond insane. And the thing is, like, you like, okay, yeah, well, that's like absolute gigabits gear. And yeah, I'm not going to deny it. That kit is insane. It's a crazy kit. However, there are people running gear like that. It's like blue, it's not like legendary level gear, but they're running blue gear with maybe not the exact same stats. Let's say they're like 10% less PDR, MDR, 2-3% less move speed. But the HP, relatively the same. Action speed, same. And I mean, that's still 95% move speed, 200 health, 50-50 PDR, MDR. That's still better than any barb kit from last wipe. I mean, I don't think it's particularly close. And the thing is, so now it's like, if you want that level of good gear, because if you're not plussed out yourself, you can't compete with that gear. It's not even possible. Before, I mean, like I said, this is how I feel personally on the matter. Last wipe, if I was in a good kit, if I was in like decent purples, I was 100% confident I could beat anybody in the game. Didn't matter how bist out they were in gold gear. If I was in good purples, I felt I could beat anyone. This wipe, even in my best kit so far, I've run into some kits, like specifically barbarians, because I mean, obviously Barb's broken, but I've run into some kits where I look at them and my thought is, I cannot beat this. I was like, I don't see a world in which it's possible for me to beat this, barring like their computer exploding or something, right? Or them just like disconnecting. And I mean, for the most part, it's proved true. Some of these kits just become so strong because they give up nothing. Look at that Barb kit. He's fast, he's tanky, he has a high action speed, and he has high damage. He has given up nothing for those stats. And if you put a Bard on top of that, it gets even better. With a Bard, that guy would be like 65, 65, almost like 33% action speed, almost 100% move speed, fists out. Like why? And we're not even, like, what, we're 3 weeks into the wipe? We are 3 weeks into the wipe, and there's already somebody running a kit like that? And I mean, that guy's not an RMTer, by the way. That's not an RMT kit. Like, I'm sure, like, some of you, like, somebody see that and like, oh, this is RMT. Like, that's not an RMT kit. I don't think, at least. I'm pretty sure it's not. I think he's like an EU player. But it's crazy. Like, it's insane. People being able to achieve that level of gear, it's like, how can you ever hope to match that in not gigabis gear? Like, if you run a mid kit, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, you can't beat that. You don't have the damage. Like, you can't kill him. You can't run from him. There's just nothing you can do. Like, that guy's even griefing his build and running Rage instead of Warcry. And he's still just unkillable. It's ridiculous. And this all stems from having plus all. That's where all of this comes from. Having plus all just allows you to get so many stats that you can focus all your other roles on so many other things. Because the thing is, armor rating was buffed this wipe, yes. However, you could pick armor rating, you could pick MR roles last wipe. I had a fighter build that was 85 PDR, MDR last wipe because you could build armor and MR roles. However, the problem was you also had to build a lot of stats. You have to build, like, on Barb, you need Vig, you need Strength, you need Agi, you need Dex, you need all of these stats. Like, okay, well, I got plus all, and I got all 4 of the stats I want in one roll. So now, and, something that used to take 3 to 4 rolls to get everything you wanted, now takes 1 roll. And then, if you want more of it, yeah, you can get an additional roll on top of that. Or you can start building other rolls. You can build armor, you can build MR, you can build action speed, you can build health, you can build whatever you want. And like I said, this all stems from plus all being in the game. And plus all being such a strong role, it's like, okay, well, everybody can get plus all, so it's not that bad. However, like, let's say, like, let's go for, like, Northern Full, right? Let's go Northern Full Tunic. Let's go, like, Rare, and let's go plus all, right? Let's say somebody wants to buy it. Let's see, what's the cheapest plus 2 on Northern Full? The cheapest plus 2 all Northern Full Tunic is 729 gold, and it has a completely dead other stat. Let's see if we can find one that has, like, a useful stat, right? Let's see how expensive it gets when you have a useful stat. So we're up to 1,000 gold, no useful stats. Luck, not really useful. Oh, still going, 1,500. 2 will, 2 projectile reduction, the first useful, quote-unquote useful stats, 1 strength. Okay, max health bonus. The first 2 all blue Northern Full Tunic with a good stat is 2,500. Oh, you guys can't even see it, my bad. It is 2,500 gold. Here, let me shrink this so you guys can see it. Honestly, I can just hide this now. I'm not using this anymore. So right here, the first good one with a useful stat is 2,488, 2,500 gold about. And this is one piece of gear. You then have to buy legs with plus 2 all, a pendant with plus 2 all, rings with plus 1 all. And, let's just say, let's say you want to wear a finesse ring, right? Ring of Finesse, rare, plus all. How much is this going to run you? Oh, a blue one at the base, 365. Want to buy 2 of these? Going to run you about almost, 740 gold, 750 gold, give or take. Let's say you want to buy a pendant. Let's go monkey pendant. Say you want more dex. You want to swing faster, right? How much is a monkey pendant? Pendants are generally cheaper with plus 2 all. 345, that's fine. Just dead stat, rare pendant, 2 all. So, that's 1,100 gold for your jewelry with a dead stat on it, only plus all. And then, so we're up to, what, about 3,600 gold so far for just the jewelry and the chest piece. We still have to buy a helmet, gloves, legs, boots, cape, weapon, shield, secondary weapon. And then that is just the base requirements to run that gear, right? To run what is considered, for higher gear, a mid kit, you're already running yourself 600 gold, 3,700 gold for not even half the kit yet. To build the whole kit, it's probably going to run you somewhere between 5 to 10,000 gold. And like I said, and that is the bare minimum for an average level kit. Like, I mean, yeah, I guess you could run green gear. You run green gear plus all, and then, your base stats are super low. You're giving up a ton of stuff. And then you're just going to get waxed by anyone running anything remotely decent because you're running green gear. And then, God forbid, you run non plus all. You are at such a disadvantage because you can buy stuff that was BIS last wipe for like hundreds of gold this wipe. Like, you could buy a piece that was thousands last wipe for a few hundred this wipe just because it is so much worse without having plus all on it. You are putting yourself at such a disadvantage because, a piece of gear that has like this could have rolled, 2 decks or 3 decks, 3 agi, like max health, and it would be worse than what I have right now because this gives me 2 all. This is giving me, so this piece right here is giving me 5 vig, 5 strength, 2 agi, 2 dex, 2 will, 2 knowledge, 2 resourcefulness. Like, what? Like, just, what is this, man? Look at the stat difference. It's ridiculous. Or I said 2 strength, gave 5 strength. I think I'm an idiot. But anyways, plus 2 all, it makes it so pretty much any gear that you want to buy for anything remotely good is ridiculously expensive. Blue gear, I just showed you. The base blue chest piece with 1 good roll is going to run you 2,500 gold. If you want to buy like rings or jewelry with 1 good roll, it's probably going to run you upwards of 500 to 1,000 for blue, maybe more. Not even sure. But basically, the meta we're in right now for gear is just, there's such a large gear discrepancy between players. Like, even the high-end players, like even the high-end players, like running like some of my best kits. One of my best fighter kits I've ran this wipe is nothing compared to some of the kits I've seen. I've seen a Bard kit with 190 HP, 101% movement speed, weapons out, 75% PDR, 40% action speed, 40 dex, 40 resourcefulness. And it's like, how do you compete with that? Like, what do you do? What does anybody do against a kit like that? Unless you're running something similar. You can't do anything. It's just a loss. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to wrap up the video here. As always, feel free to leave your thoughts and stuff down below on anything I've mentioned. If you disagree with me, then that's your problem, not mine. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.